Hey Linz, do you know where I put my keys in my wallet? I need to head to the bike shop and I can't find them. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I put them last. That's why I'm asking. Yeah, I know. I need to keep track of things. That's a reoccurring theme here at the Belchenko household. And that's probably why there's the Apple Airtag, which is a way that you can actually track your keys, your wallet, and really anything you want. And while I rarely lose or misplace bikes, I will definitely leave them outside convenience stores or breweries for both day rides and bike packing trips. So in this video, we're going to talk about the Airtag and how it just might work for that application. Let's do it. So before we get into it, I just wanted to thank you all for watching. And if you missed my video last year that I published on how to secure your bike for or during a bike packing trip, that's linked below, but essentially this is an extension of that video. If you are, say, going on a bike packing trip and you're going into a convenience store, you should always somehow secure your bike. But by having an AirTag within your bike or on your bike, that just gives you another resource in the event that, say, your bike goes missing. So Apple launched the AirTag last April. You can buy one AirTag for $29 or you can get a 4-pack for $99. So Apple designed the AirTag to work with the vast population of iPhones or Apple devices. The AirTag uses other folks' phones by sending a Bluetooth signal. It will then report that location on Find My app, which comes with all iPhones and Apple products. So essentially, the more devices that the AirTag is around, the more accurate the location and the more frequency of updates you get. The Find My app will obviously show the location of your AirTag. It will also give you directions to your AirTag, which is kind of cool. It will also be able to ping a sound. So if you are in close proximity to the AirTag, you'll be able to hear it, say if it's under a cushion of a couch or something like that. You can also toggle on a close proximity location setting, which essentially allows you to kind of use your phone and it'll show you how far away you are and the direction that you need to go to actually find the AirTag. Now, using that feature is definitely made for more, say, indoor items that are lost, but it does work outside at rather good distances so long as there is no obstructions between the AirTag and the phone. Finally, there's also a lost mode that you can toggle on the Find My app. And by doing this, you're basically reaching out to others to find your lost item, as this mode will play a sound. Once an individual finds the AirTag, it can be scanned using the NFC technology, which now comes on all newer phones, both Android and iPhone. And while that feature is really nice, you want to be strategic when using it, especially if, say, your bike is lost or missing. You don't want to trigger it when obviously the thief is around. The AirTag uses CR2032 batteries, and you can access the battery by just twisting the back of the AirTag off. These batteries are said to last roughly a year of consistent use, which is definitely pretty good. The AirTag is said to work down to freezing temperatures. That being said, I definitely have tested this in freezing temperatures and it works. However, I'm sure the colder the temperatures get, the more unreliable the device is and the quicker the battery will die. The device is also dust and water resistant. You can drop this in roughly a meter of water, let it sit for half an hour, and it shouldn't have any issues with it. However, I wouldn't do that. So I want to take a quick moment and mention that this video is supported by Surly Bikes, who just launched the Ghost Grappler, their first drop bar mountain bike. Surly took the drop bar mountain bike beyond what many of these bikes look like, giving it a more trail forward geometry, which makes this bike super stable and inspiring on single track and beyond. Surly also added a bunch of bike packing forward features, as well as positioning it at a rather approachable price point. So for more details on the Surly Ghost Grappler, you can click on this card right here, and it's also linked in the description below. All right, so how might one of these AirTags work for a bike packing trip? Well, prior to your trip, you'd buy one of these AirTags, set it up with your phone, throw it in your frame bag, and forget about it, right? Then you are on your bike packing trip and you're rolling into a town and you stop at a convenience store to grab some food, some resupply food, some pizza, some soda, whatever you want. But then you walk outside and oh no, my bike, it's gone. That's a worst case scenario, right? But you think, oh, I have an AirTag inside my bike. Now, the AirTag isn't going to necessarily work like a tracker does, like a satellite messenger or satellite tracker does, because it's not talking to satellites, it's talking to your iPhone. So say you are in a town where people use iPhones, well, that's the best case scenario because your AirTag is talking with the iPhones that it crosses paths with. The weird thing about the Apple Airtag is sometimes it can take some time to read, especially if the bike is thrown inside a car or in the bed of a truck. But the second that the bike is crossing paths with somebody or even the thief or somebody like that, it's going to ping a location. Either way, losing your bike in a highly populated area with an AirTag is actually best case scenario, even though it might sound daunting. All right, so say you lose your bike or your bike goes missing in a lessly populated area. Well, that's where the AirTags are definitely not as useful. So I actually did a little experiment yesterday where I dropped my AirTag off in an area where there are people that hike through and bike through, but it's few and far between. So I dropped the AirTag off at roughly 12:40 yesterday, and I didn't get any ping until 10:05 a.m. this morning. I was starting to worry. I was like, does this maybe not work? But then it pinged this morning and I was like, awesome. All right, but say your bike goes missing outside of cell coverage. That's probably worst case scenario with these things. But the interesting thing is, say an iPhone goes past the AirTag when it's in an area without coverage. The moment the phone goes back into cell coverage, it should ping the time that it saw the AirTag and the location. All right, so there's a variety of really interesting videos on the internet about people testing the AirTags on stolen bikes and whatnot. I'm not doing that in this video. What I want to do is share ways of storing the AirTag on your bike. I did a variety of different tests and some results actually surprised me. All right, so the first spot is a bike packing bag because, well, it's definitely not nearly as obvious as some other areas on the bike, but bike packing bags can be removed. But the bags that I would put it in are, say, some bolt-on bags or a bag with some lacing like this that it is challenging to take off and it will take some time. Another way is to just simply attach the AirTag to your bike. And you can easily do that by, using tape. You can tape it to the down tube. You can tape it underneath in the fork crown. But there also are a ton of aftermarket AirTag bike accessories. This one is made to go underneath your saddle rails. There is one that is actually made that specifically goes underneath in your fork crown like so, which is really neat. I have a water bottle boss mount one right here that works actually with bottle cages. You can be really creative here. And if you have a 3D printer, obviously you can go to town. Now, the third way and probably the best way to do this is put it inside your frame. That being said, there is a way to completely disable the Apple AirTag, and that is to wrap it up in aluminum foil. I tested this right next to my phone, and it basically renders the AirTag disabled, so long as you fold aluminum foil all the way around the AirTag. So I had questions about using the AirTag within an aluminum frame. And sure enough, I put the AirTag in the down tube right through the bottom bracket of the aluminum frame, and it did not work. The only time my phone actually detected the AirTag was when it was right next to the bottom bracket of my bike. So if you have an aluminum frame, I just wouldn't put an AirTag within the frame, unfortunately. Now, I also tested this in a steel bike, and I actually could not find a place on the Ghost Grappler to fit the AirTag because the tubing is too small. So obviously all steel frames are going to be a little different, but at least in my case with the Ghost Grappler, I could not fit the AirTag inside it. All right, so talking about carbon frames now. So I ended up using the AirTag in my Cutthroat and it worked perfectly. I slipped the AirTag through my head tube into the down tube, and I also threw it through the box in the bottom bracket. That being said, that is definitely an area where thieves might look because you can easily take that box off, unscrew it, and open it up and look in it. Now, another place that is accurate and it works is inside an aluminum stem. Go figure. But not all stems are created equally. This Thompson stem, this 31/8 Thompson stem, I can't fit the AirTag in it. That being said, I have a ton of 35/0 stems now, and all of them work extremely well with these AirTags. All I have to do is add a little bit of padding, some tape, so they don't rattle around. All right, so say somebody is actually using an AirTag maliciously, trying to, well, track you and your bike. So say you're in a convenience store, they throw an AirTag inside your bike so that they can track your bike down the road so that they can steal it later. Apple has a feature apparently where you are notified that there is a foreign AirTag next to, say, your iPhone, and it will notify you. However, there has been a handful of tests done where your phone does not notify you about the foreign AirTag, so you just need to stay on your toes. So while the AirTag might seem like a really great idea, it has proven to be unpredictable, and it definitely shouldn't be relied upon. But the beauty of the AirTags are that they're relatively inexpensive, I guess compared to, say, a bicycle, and at the very least, they'll give you some peace of mind knowing that you're probably going to be able to recover your bike, or at least know where it is for a time being if you have it installed on your bike. All right, so what do you all think about the Apple Airtag? Would you use one, and where would you put it on the bike? So if you like what you saw in this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And if you like what you see in our videos and want to help support us a little bit more, you can do that by signing up for the Bikepacking Collective. The Bikepacking Collective is BIKEPACKING.com's annual membership that not only includes industry discounts, monthly giveaways, but twice a year you get our very own print publication in the Bikepacking Journal. For more details on the Bikepacking Collective, I've provided a link below, or you can click on this card right here. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, pedal further.